Most of us are paying a tax we don't even realize we're paying. It's the cost of a 3 word text we sent too fast, or the peace of mind we lost because a stranger's comment lived in our head for 5 hours. We usually blame the other person, but the truth is, we just haven't mastered the most important 7 seconds of our day. I am naturally an emotional, reactive person. When I feel a spark of unfairness, my brain wants to set the world on fire immediately. But being a public figure adds a weird layer to this. I have experience on stream where I've gotten pretty good at the 7 second rule. When people poke me to comment on a range of things, from game opinions to drama, I have learned to say or think, I want to see the full context first before saying anything at all, if anything at all, or it doesn't really concern me, depending on what it is about. In that setting, I have the shield of my streamer persona to keep me grounded. It may not be as obvious to some, but off camera to what's going on in social media, God forbid, there's a lot of things going on in social media, not just in the VTuber community. It's a different story. I have opinions. I have strong opinions. And sometimes I don't really voice them. Not only because I'm being professional, but because I'm also afraid. I know that if I let my emotions get to me, I won't be able to control what happens next. Sometimes, I wonder if I'm being disingenuous. I'll go and vent to my friends, you know, healthily, who aren't even in this sphere, giving them a one-sided version of the story just to get it out of my system. It makes me question, am I not being myself? Am I hiding who I am just to stay safe? Of course, there are obvious choices on when to speak up. But sometimes, I feel like I'm always walking on eggshells a lot of the times. But throughout this journey, I realized that it's okay. Self-control isn't necessarily the same as being fake. When we are triggered, our brains flood with cortisol and adrenaline. For about 7 seconds, our logical brain is effectively offline. We are chemical hostages. Using that 7 second gap to decide not to engage isn't hiding our true self. It's protecting it. Our true self is the person who exists after the chemicals settle. It's the person who decides where our energy is actually worth spending. We see the consequences of failing this rule every time we open an app. It's a graveyard of people who thought being real meant being reactive, always having something to say. They hit send during those first 7 seconds of heat and spend years trying to explain what they actually meant. We've become a society of first responders to things that don't even matter. Choosing to talk to friends instead of 1,000 strangers isn't being disingenuous, it's being human. You still have to let your emotions out sometimes. It's recognizing that Some opinions are for the people who know our hearts, not for a comment section that only wants our blood. Honestly, since I'm still working on this, I'd like to try a few things, and maybe you want to try it too. It's to widen that gap between the trigger and the reaction. There's what they call the phone face down rule. When we get a notification or a text that makes our heart race, except for emergencies, of course, don't read it twice. Put the phone face down and count to 7. Or, just don't look at your phone and count to 7. There's also the data versus drama check. In those 7 seconds, we ask ourselves, is this data, information we can use, or is it just drama we can drop? If our boss gives us a critic, the drama is our ego hurting. The information is how to improve the work. Let's use the 7 seconds to filter out the noise. Then, lastly, there's the draft ritual. If we really must vent, let's write the meanest version somewhere. But let's wait 7 seconds before we decide to move it to where we intend to send it. Usually, by the time we reach 7 seconds or we finish writing, the urge to be right feels exhausting and unnecessary. The world is loud, fast, and constantly poking us to see how we react. It wants us predictable and angry and frustrated. How about we disappointed? Let's give ourselves the gift of the 7-second gap. We don't have to be the fastest people in the room. We don't have to be the fastest responder in the room. We just have to be the ones who own our own silence. Let's give ourselves 7 seconds and see how much peace we can win back.